Part 75. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 741. You can experience your soul power on the 7th level, and on this 8th level, there are unexpected surprises. Xianxia was suspended in the 8th layer of space at this time. In front of her eyes was the inherited soul power technique that others could not see in the Long family. She was not a fast learner before. She experienced soul power on the 7th floor and then came to the 8th floor. She was pleasantly surprised to find that this floor was actually a good place to practice soul control techniques. Such an opportunity is a timely help for Xianxia now. The speed of learning is much faster, and at the same time, it does not delay her from continuing to cultivate her soul power. However, she also knew in her heart that she might not be able to get out of the 8th level so soon. She had a feeling that she could learn all the soul control techniques on this level. Xianxia didn't realize it herself, but there was a force growing in circles around her body. Every time this force grew, her level of Heavenly Master increased by 1 level. Long Moran, who was also practicing in the palace magic weapon, felt that there was suddenly the power to control the soul here. She instantly understood that it was probably her daughter who had gone to meet her adopted brother and came back to practice, but she was practicing the soul power. Long Moran's mind suddenly seemed to open up. Yes, he could also hone his soul control power here. If he could improve his soul control power by 1 level, it would be no worse than advancing to the 1st level of cultivation. Xianxia didn't know that her practice of soul control had pointed out another way to her mother. Actually, she herself didn't know that other people could also experience the power of soul control in it. If she had known, she would have warned her mother. 8 days have passed in a flash, and Xian, Changfeng, and Jin Yutang quickly completed the task of replenishing the Black Feather Guards. The new Black Feather Guards were young and had good talents. Xian selected 3 of the Black Feather Guards to teach these new Black Feather Guards, and then waited for them to come back to see their situation before incorporating them into the Black Feather Guards. Now it is equivalent to the internship stage. When he is not training, he works with Kurabawei. Then the 3 of them spoke to Gizmo, and quietly left Xuanhuan city with the people who could enter the Xianxia secret realm, and went directly to the place where the Xianxia secret realm was opened in the northern continent. Xianxia doesn't know these things. She concentrates on practicing the soul control technique. After Xian and the others left, Gizmo focused more on guarding Xuanhuan city. Although no one from the Black Feather Guards could see them, he had absolute dominant power over Xuanhuan city except Jizhong. People. Just like that, 1 month has passed since Jizhong and Yuchenjai entered the Ji family's training place, and Gizmo was waiting outside the palace door early. Noticing the surge of spiritual energy, Gizmo looked over. He saw Jizhong and Yuchenjai walking out one after another. Jizhong still had Xianxia's spiritual pet Cloud lying on his shoulders. Although there was no change outside, Gizmo knew that the spiritual pet is now a real divine beast. He can feel it from the breath. Ancestor Zimo Jizhong greeted Gizmo politely. Gizmo nodded, looked at his cultivation level, and narrowed his eyes. How is that possible? Jizhong raised the corners of his lower lips and said, it's normal. Gizmo glanced at Yuchenjai again, and this time his whole face twitched. This is really not a family that refuses to enter the house, everyone is so evil. Yuchenjai was already at the level of breaking God before, at the peak of the lower gods. Now he is at the peak of the demigods, spanning an entire level. Although he also knows that the training ground of the Ji family is indeed extraordinary, it is not that he has never been in it. No matter how unusual it is, he will not be able to experience it like this. Could it be that the talents of the descendants of the Ji family were very poor before? However, thinking of Jizhong's cultivation, he felt that the blood of the Ji family was also good. Not only had Jizhong succeeded in breaking the gods, he was now at the peak of the lower gods. If compared with Xianxia, he had actually advanced to a higher level. Many. If it weren't for the obstacle of breaking the god, he would probably advance to a higher level. If the geniuses outside were to see Zhizhong's current cultivation level, I'm afraid they would all doubt whether his talent could really be called a genius. Where are Xianluo and the others? Zhizhong didn't see Yan Xianluo, his mother-in-law, and his brother-in-law. He knew in his heart that they should have been practicing in the palace's magic weapons, but he still asked. I'm still practicing and haven't come back yet. You're not back. Where have you been? Zhizhong immediately caught the loophole in Gizmo's Chinese language. Xianluo took me to the demon palace. On the way back, someone wanted to extract her soul. Fortunately, she reacted quickly and hid in the space, so she let me come back first. She went directly to practice the magic weapon, saying come back after the training is over, Gizmo said matter-of-factly. Zhizhong's eyes turned cold. Is he a person from Yunchangtian? Gizmo shook his head. I feel like someone from the nine heavens. Zhizhong's eyes narrowed. With his current level of cultivation and ability, he would not be afraid of facing off against the clones of Yunchangtian, but he was not sure about the people from Zhizhong. Xianxia heard that the people in Zhizhongtian wanted to extract his daughter's soul, and his heart sank. How could the people in Zhizhongtian want to extract his daughter's soul? He looked at Zhizhong. It was obvious that Zhizhong knew something. Receiving his father-in-law's gaze, Zhizhong said, if he is really from Zhizhongtian, it should be related to our previous life. Actually, he also thought about the divine beads, but he didn't say anything because he didn't want his father-in-law to worry too much. As soon as Xianxia heard that it was related to their previous life, he felt a sense of powerlessness in his heart. He had repeatedly improved his cultivation, but he could not keep up with the strength of his opponent, so how could he protect his daughter? Father-in-law, don't worry. Although we haven't gone to Zhizhongtian yet, the people from Zhizhongtian must be clones here. It's not easy to deal with us. We have the strength to fight, Zhizhong reassured. Xianxia nodded, aren't there still us? There are more people and more strength. He does not believe in fate. He has fought with fate since he was a child and has never lost. It is the same this time. They still will not lose. Yutang put the information about long mocking in the palace. Gizmo thought of the information sent by Jin Yutang and told the two of them first. Zhijudian nodded and walked with Xianxia to their dormitory. The opponent has long been known to be very strong, so it is not surprising that there is an opponent from Zhizhongtian now, as long as he takes it step by step. When he arrived at the bedroom, Zhizhong opened the message first and read it before handing it to Xianxia. Father-in-law, this long mocking is a bit evil. Hearing this, Xianxia took the information and read it again. His eyes narrowed. No wonder he keeps changing his luck, and he also needs an An's luck to support his luck. When Zhizhong heard this, he understood that his father-in-law knew the reason. The fragrance falls ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 742. Father-in-law knows what's going on with Long Mocking's fortune, Zhizhong asked. Xianxia folded the letter and put it into the envelope. He had been with his wife for so many years, and he still knew a little about luck. He raised his eyes and looked at Zhizhong and said, have you ever heard of folding luck? Lost luck? Never heard of it. Zhizhong thought for a while and there was no information about bad luck in his memory. To be honest, he got some information about Tianqi from the Long family, which was not much. Xianxia said, it's normal that I haven't heard of it. After all, such luck is so rare. I only heard about the existence of such luck when the elders of the Long family and the head of the Long family talked. I didn't care about it at the time. Now that I think about it, they were talking about it at that time. The bad luck should be related to long mocking. If it weren't for some signs in the information your people found, I would have forgotten that there is such a bad luck. What kind of luck is there? Xuanhuan asked with a frown. Xianxia said, I don't know much about bad luck either. I just remembered something I accidentally overheard when I was trapped in Long's house, and I had some imagination about the information found by your people. This is also due to his own photographic memory. Xuanhuan heard his father-in-law say something he had overheard. At that time, in order to get rid of the Long family, I secretly went out every night to find out what was special about the residents of the 9 major families and how to leave. One day, I saw the elder of the Long family talking to the head of the family. In order not to be discovered, I used the invisibility mysterious pattern and hid in the dark. I heard the elder said to the head of the Long family that there is no way to completely solve the bad luck. The head of the Long family said that the bad luck is like this, good luck is halved and bad luck is doubled. There is no way to completely solve me. We can only rely on a large number of crystal to suppress people with bad luck. The great elder didn't say anything later, and they left. At that time, I didn't know that people with good luck could do it. Even Long Mocking doesn't know that our family's hardships are all caused by this. Xuanhuan immediately understood after hearing this. It seems that Long Mocking's bad luck has not been completely solved even after arriving here. Xianxia nodded and said, it seems like this from the information. If it is true, he will not give up. After all, Luo and An's fortunes are unmatched by ordinary people. Before, because Luo's soul was not intact, he did not see Luo's fate luck comes. Now that Luo is here, she must know that Luo's luck is not as bad as her brother's, and he will not give up. Xuanhuan lowered his eyes and looked at the envelope. Can he complete the luck exchange and extract the luck of others by himself? Xianxia shook his head. I have to ask them, mother and daughter. He is not a celestial master. Although he knows a little about it, he really doesn't understand the celestial master's strength. He really doesn't know whether he can change his luck by himself. After all, he has never seen the celestial master who just changed his luck. Division. Come if he wants to come, we can just deal with him. Xuanhuan's tone became a few degrees colder. Since it was going to be delivered to his door, it was just right and it saved him the trouble of looking for him again. Xianxia said, he is an extremely cunning person and has excellent surface skills. Otherwise, my wife would not have known that his destiny had been taken away by him for so many years, and she would have thought that he was very kind and cares about the feelings of the same clan to visit them. He has a twin daughter, who is 5 years old this year. His wife is the second daughter of the Shen family in the southern continent. The Shen family was originally just a middle-class family, but an amethyst mine was discovered more than 10 years ago. Although it is not very big, but enough to promote the Shen family to a first-class family. The amethyst stone heavenly master seems to be of great help. Long Mo Qing married the Shen family's second daughter probably for the Shen family's amethyst stone. Xuanhuan followed the information. Content analysis. He heard from Xianxia that when the heavenly master is not strong enough to spy on the secrets of heaven, he needs crystal to assist him. Among them, white crystal is the best, followed by yellow and purple. I wonder if the Shen family knows what he has done. Of course, Xianxia also knew that the heavenly master sometimes needed crystal to help. When his wife sent away her daughter's soul, she relied on a topaz stone ball in her hand. It was not big, only as big as his fist, but the power is not small. It was precisely because of this that he thought of changing his luck. A dark light flashed across Xuanhuan's eyes. Maybe you know. After all, not everyone can have a heavenly master. We don't have it. If our son-in-law has it, they will be very willing to just supply some amethyst stones. After all, if we have it, the celestial master's family does things much more smoothly. Xianxia frowned. If the Shen family protects Long Mo Qing, things will be a little tricky. So it's best if he comes to you on his own. Xuanhuan raised the corners of his lips. Although he is not afraid of confronting the Shen family, it is better to do less than to do more. He does not have the inclination to create another opponent for himself, and it is still the entire family. Even so, the Shen family may not be willing to give up on him. Zhu Chenjai knew very well what those families would do for their own benefit. He had seen too much over the years. Have you not experienced it yourself? It doesn't matter, the Shen family doesn't dare to be enemies with the Ji family, either now or in the future, Ji Zhong said confidently. Yu Chenjai looked outside, nodded and said, even if they are enemies, what do we have to fear from them? They were able to come here all the way from the lowest continent. If they were timid, how could they have made it this far? Ji Zhong lifted Yun Tuan off his shoulders. Can you find the location of your master? The cloudy black bean-like eyes turned around. I couldn't find it before, but now I can. After regaining the power of the mythical beast, Yun Tuan can finally speak human words and talk to people. It has now restored the power of the divine beast. Although its master is hiding in the space, the master's space has opened it up to free entry and exit. Therefore, its divine beast's power can detect where the master is. Where is Luoluo? Ji Zhong asked. Yun Tuan pointed in one direction and said, it's very far away. We have to teleport there. It's in a forest not far from the trench in the demon realm. Devil world. Ji Zhong looked at Gizmo outside the door, remembering that Gizmo just said that Luoluo took him to the demon palace. Gizmo glanced at him and said, the demon king took the girl there, and gave the girl a demon king's order. From now on, the girl can go directly to the demon palace without fear of the trench between the two realms of demon spirits. Ji Zhong's face suddenly darkened. Although Ge Tianjun was Luoluo's sworn brother, he didn't care about Luoluo's safety at all. He actually took her to the demon world. What should I do if she is contaminated with demonic energy? Although Luoluo has a magic bead on his body, only Luoluo and him know about it, not Ge Tianjun. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 743. The Demon King was ready to protect Luoyetu, but it was useless. I don't know how Luoyetu did it, but he was not afraid of the demonic energy in the demon palace, Gizmo quickly explained. He followed her, and he could see that Ge Tianjun did not have any romantic feelings for Yan Xiangluo, and he really regarded her as a sister. Seeing that Ji Zhong's face turned darker, he added, the Demon King also wants to prepare a dowry for the girl. Ji Zhong raised his eyes and glanced at Gizmo. Ancestor Zimo likes Ge Tianjun very much. Gizmo shrugged, ignoring the jealous Ji Zhong's attitude, and said truthfully, I can't say I like him, but I do appreciate the way he deals with others. After going to the Demon Palace to meet the Demon King this time, Gizmo changed his inherent concept of people in the demon realm. He felt that people in the demon realm and the spirit realm just have different cultivation methods. There is no other difference in anything else. When it comes to dealing with things, he prefers the demon realm. Human directness. Ji Zhong knew very well that anyone who could fall into Yang Xiang's eyes must not be a treacherous person. That girl's eyes were poisonous. If she didn't have a temper with her, it would be impossible to have friendship with her. That girl doesn't care who you are, she just cares whether you look pleasing to the eye or not. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known that Ge Tianjun was a demon cultivator and still sworn brothers and sisters to him. How is the construction of the outer city going? Ji Zhong asked, changing the subject. Gizmo said, Xian and the others had completed the construction before they left, but the construction of the commercial street has not started yet, and the new recruits of the Black Feather Guard have been training for half a month. Ji Zhong was not surprised when he heard this. Xian and the others had followed him since childhood, and the things he asked were all within their capabilities, so they completed them well every time. At this time, a hidden guard came in to report. Master, many people have come to ask in recent days whether Xuanhuan City allows their businessmen to settle in. The hidden guards were arranged by Xian and others before they left. After all, only about 30 people can enter the Xianxia secret realm. There are more than 100 of them. This is their master's base camp, so they must be guarded by their own people. Only then can I feel relieved. The hidden guards also noticed that Xuanhuan was coming out, so they came to report it. Xuanhuan raised his eyes and asked, "Who are they?" Yunwei replied, "There are people from all walks of life, and they are all people from big families who come to inquire." Xuanhuan took out a notice and handed it to the hidden guard. "Post the notice." Yunwei took the notice and immediately went to do the work. He was not surprised at all that Xuanhuan took out a notice like this. Xuanhuan thought when he first started planning that Xuanhuan City could not live its own life in isolation. If he wanted to prosper, he must attract some businessmen. Therefore, before going into experience, he had thought that various families would use this method to enter Xuanhuan City, and he did not reject it, but how to enter was up to him. Xuanhuan was excellent in all aspects. Only such a man could be worthy of his daughter. "Do you need my help?" Xianxia asked. Xuanhuan said bluntly, "I really need my father-in-law's help." Xianxia twitched the corners of his mouth. He was just being polite, but Xuanhuan was really rude. "What's the deal? The inner city cannot be left empty. I want to build the inner city into a place for cultivation and learning. Part of the land will be set aside for close people to live in, and the rest of the land will be used to build a place for cultivation and learning." Xianxia did not expect that Xuanhuan would really build Xuanhuan City with all his heart. He wanted Xuanhuan City to exist for a long time. Although it is no longer the residence of imperial power in the mainland, it will become the first city for cultivation and learning. "What do you think?" Xianxia asked. Xuanhuan took out the layout map of Xuanhuan City and pointed to the inner city road. "A mansion will be built here in the future. If my father-in-law wants to live out of the palace, he can choose a place to build a mansion. The Xuanhuan City Administration Office will be built next to the mansion. The officials who manage Xuanhuan City all work here. Opposite here, I want to build a Xuanhuan Academy, and build Awakening Hall, Test Hall, Training Ground, Competition Hall, Retreat Hall, and other cultivation-related places around Xuanhuan College. Father-in-law, please help me figure out how to lay it out and what departments should be added." Xianxia glanced at Xuanhuan. "Do you want to build Xuanhuan City into the first city in Xuanhuan continent?" Xuanhuan nodded. "Xiangluo and I's goal is not here. We will go to Zhekongtian sooner or later. However, when I chose the Ji family, I must let the Ji family pass on. Now, although I am the only one with the surname Ji, people will come back, but there will definitely be people with the Ji family name coming back in the future. Although I don't want to establish another Ji family dynasty, I still want the Ji family to become the first family in the 9UN continent. I want to do it for the Ji family." Xianxia agrees with Xuanhuan's heavy commitment. If the Ji family hadn't sent people out to various lower continents 30,000 years ago, the family would have been wiped out. Since Xuanhuan has come back, he naturally wants to do something for Xuanhuan who comes back in the future. "Prepare your family so that they can have a place to be strong." Gizmo, who was listening on the sidelines, was deeply moved. He did not expect that Xuanhuan would think so far and do so much for the Ji family. "Is this place reserved for the returnees of the Ji family to build a mansion?" Xianxia pointed to the area where the mansion was built. "That's right. It's mainly for your own people to live in. People will become more and more mixed in the outer city. Although there are black feather guards, the role of the black feather guards must be weakened from dark to light. They can only play a role. To maintain order within the city and protect the safety of Xuanhuan City, there is no need to make the inner city so complicated," Xuanhuan explained. "Then why did you build Xuanhuan College in the inner city?" Xianxia asked in confusion. "Since it is a college, there must be students from all over the mainland, so it will be even more chaotic. Zhizhong said, Zhuoyuan College will definitely be the highest institution in Zhuoyuan continent in the future. The students who come here to study must be very talented and strong. It is better to be lacking than to be indiscriminate. This is the first requirement for Zhuoyuan College's future enrollment. Some of these, when people come here, no matter what cultivation environment and method is most suitable for them, they don't have time to do things. Moreover, Zhuoyuan College has requirements, such as admission requirements and cultivation level requirements for leaving, as well as the requirements to be established before admission. Make an oath to never do anything harmful to Zhuoyuan City. Yu Chenjai had to admit that Zhizhong was indeed a born superior, and he could control people's hearts very accurately. Those who enroll are not required to swear to do anything to the Ji family, but simply not to do anything harmful to Zhuoyuan City. This is a condition that everyone can accept. What should I do, teacher? Yan Chenjai asked another question. The fragrance falls ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 744. Whether Zhuoyuan College can become the #1 institution in Zhuoyuan continent mainly depends on the strength of its teachers. Without strong teachers who are admired, who would be willing to send their children here to study and practice? Let's use our own people as the main force first, and then there will be strong people who are willing to come here to teach. Zhizhong has already thought about it. Not to mention other things, the Ji family's Xuanhuan, Xianxia's medical skills, alchemy skills, and their formation attainments, Zhuoyuan College will not have to worry about recruiting students. As long as the first batch of students are taught and become strong men in various fields on the mainland, then Zhuoyuan College will naturally become the top college on the mainland. There will be no shortage of it for both students and teachers. Yu Chenjai also admitted that Zhizhong's idea was right, but it also took time. After all, students can't be taught it in an instant. There will definitely be no shortage of troublemakers. This is the most critical point. How could other colleges and forces in the mainland allow Zhuoyuan City to develop, especially if it is the territory of the Ji family? It's okay, otherwise why would you want Black Feather Guard to do anything? Zhizhong raised the corners of his lips. Seeing that Zhizhong had already thought about it, Zhu Chenjai said nothing more. How do you plan to build Zhuoyuan College? There are many ways to build a college, it all depends on what Zhizhong wants. Zhizhong said, the most powerful college in Zhuoyuan continent will naturally have the strongest and most complete college. You want to refine the academy? Yan Chenjai instantly understood what Zhizhong meant. Well, only the refined academy is the strongest. Zhizhong thought a lot. Although this is the most expensive way, it is also the easiest way. Okay, I understand what you want me to do for you. Chenjai sighed. He finally understood that this kid must do his best unless he doesn't do something. Zhizhong smiled. My father-in-law taught Luo and Anan so well, so he must be very experienced in teaching students. So, you want me to be the first dean of Zhuoyuan College? Yu Chenjai rolled his eyes at Zhizhong. Zhizhong smiled and said, no one is more suitable than my father-in-law. What he didn't say was that since he was his father-in-law, he naturally had to protect him a little. What better way than to make himself famous in the mainland? Although my father-in-law is now famous in mainland China, he is not the kind of person that a few people fear. The father-in-law has strength, but only lacks a springboard, so he will build a springboard for his father-in-law. With a father who is the dean of the best college in the world, who would dare to bully Luo? In this way, their whole family can live in Zhuoyuan City before they leave Zhuoyuan continent and go to Zhekongtian. It's very safe here. Even if you and Luo leave for something, you don't have to worry about the safety of your father-in-law, mother-in-law, and Anan. And Anan has a place to study and a partner. In the future, his friends will be all over the world. Even if he and Luo leave, they can live a good life. Zhizhong just likes to put things in front of him that have not happened. This is also the guarantee that he can get to where he is now step by step. I also don't want Luoluo to have any worries. This move kills two birds with one stone. It not only helps the Ji family, but also helps the father-in-law's family, getting the best of both worlds. Yu Chenjai is also a human being among the best. How could he not understand Ji Zhong's intention of such an arrangement? He once again sighed in his heart that his daughter really has a good eye for people. Come on, let's arrange the inner city before Luoluo and the others come back from their training. Ju Chenjai didn't hesitate. Since the decision was made, it must be done well. Now his cultivation level is also one of the strong men in the mainland. Although he is not the strongest, no one dares to provoke him easily now that he is strong enough. But he also admitted that he did need a status worthy of a higher level of cultivation. Since his son-in-law gave it to him, he was not polite. Helping himself was equivalent to helping them. The stronger he was, the more they would have a backer. Ji Zhong and Ju Chenjai went to the inner city together and drew plans on the spot. Gizmo looked at them from above the palace. He was a little curious about what kind of person Ji Zhong was in his previous life. He was such a smart and beautiful person who handled everything. What happened in his previous life that made him spend so much time arranging his Nuan Xianluo's afterlife? Half a month has passed. Xian and the others who went to the Xianxia secret realm for training have all come back, but Yan Xianluo and the other three have not returned yet. If it weren't for the clouds, both Ju Chenjai and Ji Zhong would have suspected that something had happened to them. Yun Tuan would lie on Ji Zhong's shoulder day by day, never going there. Some people thought Yun Tuan was Ji Zhong's spiritual pet. There is no way, it's not that it likes to stay on Ji Zhong's shoulder, but it can't go there. Both Wan Chenjai and Ji Zhong are worried about Yan Xianluo and the three of them, and they have to ask it at any time, how is Luoluo, and then after replying that it was okay, the two of them continued their work. If it wasn't around, the entire Jueyuan city would be looking for it. There is nothing interesting about Jueyuan city now, so it simply stays on Ji Zhong's shoulder and doesn't go there. Xian and the others came back in high spirits. They went to thank Gizmo for his advice first. They had gained a lot this time. Even the ones with the lowest cultivation levels had been promoted to the third level, not counting those who were in the purple bamboo forest. Encounters. Ji Zhong was also surprised that their cultivation had improved so much. After asking, he found out that it was Gizmo who had given them some advice. Sure enough, as the saying goes, having an elder in the family is equivalent to having a treasure, and having an ancestor is really equivalent to having a treasure. The mistress hasn't come back yet, Xian asked in a low voice without seeing Yan Xianluo. Ji Zhong glanced at him and said, Luoluo probably wants to get out of the 9th floor. Xian and the others looked at each other for a moment. They had not been to the 9th floor yet. Master, when will we go in again? Xian asked. Ji Zhong said, it's not a good thing to advance too quickly and too diligently. You should stabilize your cultivation first. Xian and the others knew that what Ji Zhong said was right. It had only been a few months since they arrived in Jueyuan continent. They had made breakthroughs repeatedly. They had accomplished in a few months what others had not been able to do in decades. Indeed, it should not be too great. Got greedy. Master, what are you doing in the inner city? Xian was very surprised. According to the time, the master has only been out for half a month, so why has the inner city changed so much? So many buildings were rising from the ground, and they sensed a familiar atmosphere from them. These buildings were all refined by the master, and it must be no small matter for the master to have personally experienced and planned them. Ji Zhong didn't bother to tell Xian and the others, and just threw the plan he had recorded with his father-in-law to them and let them see for themselves. A group of people gathered around Xian to watch, and they were all shocked. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 745. Xian looked at the inner city and then at the outer city, thinking that when he came back, he would see the notice posted outside and knew that they were busy again. Xuanhuan has finished refining all the buildings. It can be said that Xuanhuan College is now standing in Xuanhuan inner city, only the words Xuanhuan College are missing on the stone archway in front of the college. There is no rush about this. When Xian and the others came back, he handed over the matter. He stayed in the palace and began to stabilize his cultivation. In 1 month, it will be time for him to enter the highest level training place in the mainland. Before that, he does not seek to advance further, but he must stabilize his current cultivation level. Just like what he said about Xian and the others, it is not a good thing to advance too quickly. It is necessary to stabilize their cultivation. But Yan Xiangluo never came back, and he also knew her plan. She wanted to use the palace space magic weapon to advance to the holy level. According to her, when she reached the holy level, she would also reach the 3rd level of Pangu flowers. Here we go. Since he promised to let her pass the 3rd level smoothly, he must do it. At this time, in the Pangu space of Yan Xiangluo, Anan had come out of the palace experience weapon and was making a breakthrough. He came out of the 9th level in one breath, 1st level, 2nd level, and 3rd level, and the light of promotion kept flashing. If people outside see this, they will definitely die of envy. How can anyone be promoted like this? They have even heard of people who have been promoted to the 3rd level. After all, there are not many geniuses in mainland China. There are more, but they are almost rare, at least there are no such geniuses on the mainland now. But they have never seen anyone advance like Anan. However, given Xuanhuan's previous performance in the continental competition and his cultivation level, everyone in Xuanhuan continent knew that Xuanhuan was a cultivation genius, a monster-like genius. Anan hasn't finished the promotion here, and Long Moran also came out. When he came out, he only had time to look at his promoted son, who also started to advance. At this time, Yan Xiangluo was still on the 8th floor, learning the soul controlling technique. She only had to go to the last page. However, she had used this page of technique for nearly 10 days and had not yet learned it. Haven't a clue at all. The name of this technique was so domineering that it opened up the world. She didn't know what this technique was used for as a heavenly master. Should she be asked to carve out a new continent on her own? Realizing that her mother and younger brother had gone out, Yan Xiangluo sighed and gave up learning the last exercise. Time was limited and she couldn't stay in there all the time. Her father and Xuanhuan should worry. Furthermore, Jiju wants to go to the mainland's most powerful secret realm to experience. If he doesn't go out, I'm afraid he will give up this opportunity. It doesn't matter, she has already learned almost all the soul control techniques through the magic weapon of space training. This last one won't be used for a while, so she should go to the 9th floor to practice first, and then go out. Standed up and withdrew the soul control technique, and immediately, the 9th floor of stairs appeared in front of her. She could have left the 8th floor and gone to the 9th floor long ago. Coming to the 9th floor, Yan Xiangluo thought it was another life-limiting experience, but when she came up, she found that the 9th floor was empty, with nothing there. What happened? Yu Xiangluo was a little confused, and at this moment, the photo of the senior brother's spiritual consciousness appeared. Yan Xiangluo was extremely surprised. She thought she would never see her senior brother again after seeing him last time. Elder brother. But the senior brother did not speak or look at her. Instead, he started dancing. Every movement was very slow. Even if Yan Xiangluo did not have a photographic memory, he could still remember every movement. Yan Xiangluo understood in an instant that the last photo of the senior brother's spiritual consciousness was indeed the last one. This was not a spiritual photo, but it was telling her something or teaching her something. Yan Xiangluo memorized every move attentively. There were a total of 108 moves. After one move, the senior brother's photo was taken a second time. Yan Xiangluo knew that this was because she was worried that she would not be able to remember it. She immediately followed her senior brother's movements and started to do those movements. Slowly, she really started to follow them. Only then did Yan Xiangluo realize that this was a set of exercises for cultivating vitality. She has really not cultivated Yuan Qi since she came to the 9 Yuan continent. After all, she knew when she was in Tianqian continent that Yuan Qi is cultivated by people who have not awakened their spiritual roots. The highest level is her current level, and she cannot advance to the next level. After all, vitality is different from spiritual energy and cannot be cultivated to a higher level. Therefore, she devotes all her attention to cultivating spiritual power and alchemy and medical skills. But now she knows that Yuan Qi is not what the world knows at all. She remembered that the 9-turn true Yuan Ju, the vitality technique she practiced, was requested by her master and uncle. The 9-transformation true Yuan technique was obtained by master and uncle by chance when they went to practice. Because it is a vitality cultivation technique, neither master nor master's disciples can use it, so they have kept it aside. On fire. Or she wanted to learn Yuan Qi Kung Fu, and the master went to the great uncle to ask for it. The master said at the time that ordinary energy cultivation techniques were not beneficial to her. Although she did not know the grade of this 9-turn true Yuan Ju, she could sense its power. Yan Xiangluo was also very good at practicing it. She didn't think much about what kind of vitality technique it was, but now she actually learned the exercises and movements from her senior brother that can continue to practice the 9 turns true essence technique. She was shocked and also understand that the 9 transformation true essence technique is not an ordinary thing, and the vitality is not what the world knows. It can only be learned by people who cannot awaken their spiritual roots. Yan Xiangluo put aside his distracting thoughts and followed his senior brother through the 108 movements. Suddenly, the long-dormant vitality in his body was mobilized, getting stronger and stronger, and his whole body seemed to have become stronger. It is a completely different feeling from cultivating spiritual power. The photo of the senior brother disappeared after performing the 108 moves twice. Yan Xiangluo did not stop. She continued to practice the 108 moves. After doing it again, she clearly felt the vitality stronger. She was overjoyed. She thought her vitality skills would be like this for the rest of her life, but she didn't expect that her senior brother would give her a surprise. She practiced tirelessly over and over again. Her vitality would increase every time she repeated it. She practiced it 108 times in one go. She stopped only when she felt that her vitality was no longer increasing. Perception that her body was stronger than ever before, Yan Xiangluo was extremely happy. Elder brother, thank you. Although the elder brother couldn't hear her, she still wanted to say thank you. Looking at the empty 9th floor, Yan Xiangluo knew that the training space in the Copper Tower Palace left by her senior brother had no training effect for her. But she doesn't want such a treasure to remain silent in her Pangu space forever. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 746. Yan Xiangluo glanced at the 9th layer of space for the last time, and said in a low-pitched but firm voice, Elder brother, I don't know what I was like in my previous life, but don't worry, I will never let your baby. It just disappeared into the world. After saying these words, she had a thought and left the Copper Tower Palace. Although she knew that her senior brother could not hear these words were meant for herself. As soon as she came out, Yan Xiangluo saw her mother and younger brother sitting by the Lingquan pool practicing, probably consolidating their cultivation. Looking at their cultivation levels, Yan Xiangluo's eyes shrank. Sure enough, their family's cultivation talents were also evil. As expected, her own cultivation had only reached the saint level, but her mother was already at the 6th level of the saint level, and her younger brother was already at the 6th level of the king level. He had advanced more than her mother, and was even a big level higher. 4 more levels. At the age of 6, she was already at the king level. Xianxia was a little envious of her younger brother. She thought back then, when she was 13, she had not yet broken through to the UN level. Without comparison, there would be no harm. This is the result of my brother's luck being suppressed. If his luck had not been suppressed, his current king level cultivation would not be able to stop him. From this point of view, my younger brother is truly a monster with talent. Xianxia glanced at Xianxia. Why has it been so long and he still hasn't absorbed all the power? Withdraw your gaze and look outside the space. It must have been a month and a half since you entered the Copper Tower Palace. As expected, there is no scent of that man outside. However, she did not dare to take it lightly. She let go of her spiritual consciousness to perceive the outside, and realized that she was only not far away from the trench between the demon world and the spiritual world. Where did the man find himself? Everyone knows that he is in Xuanhuan city. If he could have sensed himself there, the power of his spiritual consciousness is not generally strong, and he should be assisted by the power of the heavenly master. She is not afraid of the celestial master now, but she may not be able to compare with him in terms of cultivation and spiritual power. Even if the other person looks young, he might be someone who has lived a long time. Since the other party wants to extract her soul, he will not give up. Avoiding is not an option, but she also does not want to implicate her mother Ananan. Looking at her mother Ananan, Xianxia immediately wrote a letter, and then ducked out. The moment she exited, she immediately used the formation disc to return to the palace in Xuanhuan city. Xuanhuan, who was practicing, and Xianxia, who was busy, both sensed her aura. Just as Xuanhuan opened his eyes, he saw his mother-in-law and brother-in-law being moved out of the space, while Xianxia was holding a letter in her hand. Go down. The phoenix eyes shrank, and he instantly appeared next to Xianxia and caught her falling body. At the same time, Long Moran and Anan also woke up from their training. When they saw Xianxia falling, they both instantly he came to her side. What's wrong with Luoluo? Long Moran asked. At this time, Xianxia also came back. When he saw his daughter lying in Zhizhikong's arms, his eyes turned cold and he asked, what's going on? He just realized that his daughter came back as quickly as possible. Why did her daughter faint as soon as she came back? Zhizhikong said, I don't know. When Luoluo came back, he moved his mother-in-law and Anan out of the space. Then he fainted and didn't have time to say a word. There is a letter in my sister's hand, and Anan first saw the letter in Xianxia's hand. Zhizhikong immediately took out the letter and opened it. Except for Anan, the three of them put their heads together to read the contents of the letter. The letter said that they should not worry about her. She was just out of body. Someone wanted to take out her soul. She took advantage of it and went to see the situation. She had almost learned the soul control technique, and she only had to learn the last one. She is not afraid of the other party competing with her to control the soul and the power of the heavenly master. She just wants to see who the other party is, where the people are, and why he wants to extract her soul and put her body on the bed. Gizmo came in from the door, frowned, and asked worriedly, Xiangloo girl, has her soul been sucked out? Did Zhizhong read the letter to Gizmo? She did it on purpose. Even so, they are also worried. It is not a trivial matter for the soul to leave the body. If the soul cannot come back, it is equivalent to death. Zhizhong picked up Yan Xiangloo and put her on the bed in the palace, covered her with a quilt, and then the four of them sat on the chairs in the palace. Zhizhong understood what Xiangloo meant when he returned here. Since his soul has been extracted, his body must be protected. No place is as safe as the Xuanhuan city palace. She knew that this was Hong's territory. Although her soul cannot be protected, her body can definitely be protected. Long Moran said worriedly, this child, since his soul control power is stronger than the opponent's, why would he take the risk of having his soul extracted? What if something happens to you? Xianxia patted her back and said, Luoluo has always been successful in doing things since she was a child. Now that she has done this, she is sure that she will not be tricked. It's not like you don't know that Luoluo has cherished her life since she was a child and will not do that to herself. Risk your life. Hong also knew that Yan Xiangluo cherished her life. She didn't know why, but now she heard from her father-in-law that her relationship had been like this since she was a child. How did he know that Yan Xiangluo was not in good health in another life, and she longed for a healthy body and wanted to live a good life? But even so, Hong and Xianxia also knew that there was an unavoidable danger, but they just didn't want to say it out and make Long Moran more worried. All they can do now is to protect her body and wait for her soul to return. Yan Xiangluo's prediction was very accurate. As soon as he came out of the Pangu space, he was locked by the man's spiritual consciousness, and his soul was instantly extracted by the powerful spiritual power and the power of the Heavenly Master. If she hadn't made preparations in advance, she might not have been able to return to the palace in Xuanhuan City. She felt that she had taken a bit of a risk, and she should explain it to her mother and brother first, and then let them go out first before she went out. Only in this way could it be safe, but she was still a little arrogant. But fortunately, she returned to the palace in Xuanhuan City at the last moment, and saw Hong's teleporting figure before her soul left the body. You don't have to worry about your body having problems. At this time, her soul was in a white cloud. Yan Xiangluo knew that this was the other party's powerful spiritual power and the power of the Heavenly Master, which wanted to bring her to him. At the same time, the clone of the man in white robe had disappeared. When the clone returned to his original body, Yan Xiangluo's soul was also brought under the huge white crystal ball and locked by a group of power. Yan Xiangluo did not resist. She looked at the place where she was. The clouds and mist shrouded her like a fairyland. A huge white crystal ball stood behind her, and a clear sense of oppression on her soul came over her. This is the opponent using the power of the white crystal ball to suppress her soul. A man wearing a snow-white brocade robe appeared in front of him. A dark light flashed across his apricot eyes. It didn't look like the clouds were in the sky. The fragrance falls ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 747. The man in white robe walked slowly over, looked at Yan Xiangluo's soul body, and paused. So it's you. Yan Xiangluo's apricot eyes flashed. Does he know herself? No, what he knew should not be the self in this life, but the self in the previous life. Which life was it? The last time her soul left her body, Xiangluo could feel the intensity of the spiritual energy surrounding the space she was in. The intensity of the spiritual energy this time was definitely different. The spiritual energy this time was obviously much richer than the last time. Therefore, she concluded that this was not the sky above the clouds, but the ninth heaven. Thinking that this place was probably the nine heavens, Yan Xiangluo felt a little excited, especially when she saw the huge white crystal ball behind her. It was simply a magic weapon that the Heavenly Master dreamed of. It's a pity that I came here as a divine soul, and I don't know if I can put this crystal ball into Pangu space and take it away. You have to give it a try. Pangu space is a soul contract, and you should be able to use it even if you are a soul now. Since the other party dares to scheme against her and prevent the other party from losing his wife and losing his troops, she is not Yan Xiangluo. Yan Xiangluo didn't show any of her thoughts, and her soul body stared blankly ahead, as if her eyes were out of focus. The man raised his hand and used the power of the Heavenly Master to bind Yan Xiangluo's soul body even more tightly. Yan Xiangluo wanted to know what the other party's purpose was in extracting her soul, so she refrained from taking action. I should have thought a long time ago that you might have tampered with the divine pearl. The man's voice was unhurried, but a trace of excitement could be heard. A dark light flashed through Yan Xiangluo's apricot eyes. It turned out that he came here for the divine bead. How did he know that the divine bead was on his body? You, who are you referring to? Could it be that the divine pearl from the previous life also belonged to her? That's good, I've solved 2 problems with 1 stone. The man's tone was filled with pride. Yuan Xiangluo still had no movement or reaction. It's a pity that in this new life, you are not as weak as you were in the last life. The man's tone was filled with undisguised pride. I was able to plot against you in my last life, let alone you who are so weak in this life. In your last life, you didn't even know who betrayed you until you died. The man walked up to Yan Xiangluo's soul body and wanted to reach out and touch her face. He thought that she was in the soul body now and couldn't touch anything, so he retracted his hand. You have paid such a high price, but in the end the divine pearl will still fall into my hands. Who can stop me now? At this moment, Yan Xiangluo hated herself for not recovering her memory yet. This man obviously had a lot to do with the failure of what her master and senior brothers wanted to do in the previous life. I tried to please you so much, but you didn't even look at me. But what will happen to the man you chose? He will fall just like you. Haha, you Xiangluo, I'm going to take your soul and body. Refined into a puppet, I will let you follow me like a dog, and you will never be reincarnated. The man's eyes showed no trace of evil, which was completely opposite to the ecstatic temperament when we first met. Yan Xiangluo suddenly realized that no matter whether it was the lower continent, the higher continent, or even Yunchangtian and Zhezongtian, there were a group of people who had gone astray. On the surface, they behave like gentlemen, but in private they are worse than the evil demons that everyone despises. At least the evil demons openly admit that they have practiced evil and demonic arts, but they are like rats living in the darkness, hiding themselves. His nature is clothed in the cloak of a gentleman. Master, those guys are here, saying they sensed something strange in the crystal ball. At this time, a man also wearing a snow-white robe came over to report. The man regained his ecstatic appearance in an instant and said, "Invite people to the Prophet's hall." "I will go right away." "Yes," the man responded and left. Yu Xiang's heart dropped. Why did this name, Prophet Hall, seem familiar to her? Yan Xiangluo understood that it should be the memory of the previous life. Although it has not yet awakened, it will have some familiarity. Yan Xiangluo knew that since someone noticed that the man in front of him had used the power of the white crystal ball, he would not wait any longer and would immediately take action to refine and contract his soul. In this way, his body would come to him in the future. When he reaches the 9th heaven, he will obediently hand over the divine beads to him. Sure enough, the man raised his hand and mobilized the power in the white crystal ball to control her soul. "Submit to me, I will be your servant for the Lord, and my oath will remain unchanged forever and ever." Yan Xiangluo's eyes turned cold. He was really despicable and wanted to contract his soul, so that no matter how many times he was reincarnated, he would automatically become his slave. Celestial Master, such a sacred profession, has actually been turned into a very evil profession by him. I wonder if those people who came here know his true face? Or are they all just like a nest of snakes and rats? After all, birds of a feather flock together, and when birds with the same feathers fly together, only equally evil people can come together. But such a group of people will never stick together. Yan Xiangluo wants to know if their friendship will continue after the white crystal ball disappears. When the power of Ruan Xiangluo's white crystal ball came to wrap around her soul body, her powerful mental power was released instantly, and she rushed towards the white crystal ball along with the power of the white crystal ball. In just a moment, the divine power enveloped the huge white crystal ball behind him. As soon as Yan Xiangluo thought, the white crystal ball shook violently. The power of the man's contract was broken. The man in white robe looked panicked. How could this happen? Is it possible that she has become so powerful even before she returned to Zhikongtian's divine soul body? The largest white crystal ball in Zhikongtian can't even do anything to her divine soul body? He was extremely unwilling to give up. He had already reached this point and extracted her soul body back. He was only one step away from getting the divine bead. How could he give up? In an instant, a rich black energy emitted from his body, which was his hidden power of practicing evil arts. At this time, he could no longer care about the few people in the Prophet Hall. He had to contract with Yuan Xiongluo's soul. When Yan Xiongluo saw the rich black energy, her apricot eyes burst out with an icy cold light. This person actually practiced ancient evil skills. Don't ask her why she knew. This was an instinctive prediction, and it was also the reason why she practiced ancient soul control this time. The powerful celestial master who awakens after the exercises. After Yan Xiongluo's spiritual power wrapped around the white crystal ball, the powerful celestial master's power rushed towards the man to attack. The rich black energy on the man's body was immediately powerful when encountering the power of Yan Xiongluo's celestial master. The celestial master's power attack collapsed. The man in white robe covered his heart and staggered back a few steps, then a large mouthful of blood spurted out. He looked at Yu Xiongluo in shock. Are you not under my control? The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 748. Yan Xiongluo rolled her eyes at him. You dare to show off in front of me even at your level. The cold voice reminded the man in white robe of the once magnificent woman, and the soul of Yan Xiongluo in front of him suddenly became one with that magnificent woman. You are already a heavenly master, and your cultivation is still so strong. No, I will never allow you to return, even if you destroy the divine beads. A look of determination flashed in the eyes of the man in white robes. As he finished speaking, he stretched out his arms and an even stronger black energy erupted from his body. It looks like a fish is dead and the net is broken. Yan Xiongluo's eyes narrowed. This man's evil skills had reached the pinnacle. He had to admit that if a person could practice evil skills to such an extent, his talent should not be underestimated. Why would someone with such a talent go astray? Yan Xiongluo was secretly glad that she was now a divine soul body. If it were the true body, she would never be able to defeat him with her talent and saint-level cultivation. But now, I am not afraid of him. With the thought, Yan Xiongluo's divine bead appeared above her head. Since you want to get the divine bead so much, I'll kindly let you see what the divine bead looks like. Yan Xiongluo used her spiritual power to wrap the white crystal ball before. She has already tested whether she can put the white crystal ball into the Pangu space. It is indeed possible, but she still needs more powerful help. There is nothing more powerful than the power of the divine beads. As expected, seeing the almost transparent bead on the top of Yan Xiongluo's head, the man's eyes showed greed. No, isn't the divine bead purple? You have actually refined the divine bead. The man instantly understood why Ruan Xiongluo's soul body could summon the divine beads. It was because she had already refined the divine beads. After the divine beads were refined, she would follow Ruan Xiongluo for the rest of her life. He wanted to get the divine beads. It's possible. Unless you contract with Yan Xiongluo's divine soul body, become her master, and then control the divine beads by controlling her. But now he can't achieve the divine soul body of the contracted woman Xiongluo. The feeling of being able to realize his wish immediately and get the divine bead he has longed for, only to watch it slip away, is simply terrible. If you don't get it, then destroy it. The man in white robe finally made a decision that he couldn't bear to bear. Yan Xiongluo said coldly, that's impossible. Yan Xiongluo's heavenly master power burst out again, confronting the man's black energy. At the same time, the powerful mental power and the power of the divine beads caused the white crystal ball to shake even more violently. Receive! Yan Xiongluo shouted, and the huge white crystal ball behind him made a thundering roar, and then disappeared from the man's eyes. At the same time, Yan Xiongluo's powerful heavenly master power attacked the man, and the man was once again attacked by her power. Yan Xiongluo's spirit body shook and disappeared in front of the man's eyes. At the last glance, he saw Yan Xiongluo's provocative and mocking eyes. The meaning is obvious: I haven't returned to the 9 heavens yet, so what, you are still my defeated general. The man fell to the ground, looking at the empty space in front of him. Instead of getting the divine bead, the white crystal ball was taken away by Yan Xiongluo. If she extracted it on purpose, she would be a fool. What should we do now? He desperately wanted to destroy the divine bead, and the evil energy he released permeated the surroundings. How could he deal with those people? Just when he was worried, several figures fell in front of him. Where's the crystal ball? What's going on? Why are there so many evil spirits? The man in the white robe struggled to get up from the ground. A woman who practices ancient evil skills took away the white crystal ball. He must not be called an evil cultivator. How are you? Several people looked at each other and asked. I have been injured by evil spirits. I want to retreat to clear the evil spirits from my body and restore my cultivation. The man in white robe looked like he had sacrificed himself for justice. When did a woman practicing ancient evil skills appear in the 9 heavens? What does she look like? The man in the white robe didn't want them to know the existence of Yan Xiongluo, so he could only vaguely say, she is a woman in a red skirt, and her appearance cannot be seen clearly with the red gauze. They can't tell whether it's true or false. A few people looked at each other, obviously not believing what he said. A person with such strength would still cover up his face? The most important thing is, why don't they know that there is such a woman in Zhekongtian? I have to go into seclusion as soon as possible, otherwise I will be infected by evil spirits. I leave it to you to capture the woman in the red dress. It is up to you whether you can get the white crystal ball back. The man in white robe was indeed seriously injured, and he didn't want to stay in front of them for too long, otherwise his secret would be exposed. With the strength of a few of them, they would know that he was not infected by evil energy, but the evil energy of cultivation. He raised his hand and disappeared from the eyes of several people. How many people are there? Look at me and I look at you. Where can they arrest people based on this clue? How is it possible to retrieve the white crystal ball? They didn't lose it, and they won't take the blame. They all spread the news in a tacit understanding. They were just helping to find the white crystal ball that was lost by the man in white robe. In this way, no matter whether they can find it or not, they have no fault. On the contrary, if they find it, they will still get credit. By this time, Yan Xiongluo had returned to her body. Ji Zhozhong stayed by the bed and looked at her carefully. When he saw her eyes open, he immediately said, Luoluo, how are you? The 3 people sitting around the table, Chinjai and others, heard the noise and came over immediately. Yan Xiongluo came back to her senses, looked at Ji Zhozhong and her parents and brother and smiled, very good. Ji Zhozhong knew she was going back to fight back when he saw her like this, otherwise she wouldn't be so happy. My heart is relieved. Who is it? It should be someone from Zhekongtian, someone we knew in our previous life. Yan Xiongluo did not tell Ji Zhozhong what the white-robed man said. If Ji Zhozhong knew that this man had coveted him in his previous life, he would not be able to regain his position now. What should I do if it breaks? So as soon as she finished speaking, she said immediately, I brought his treasure back. Ji Zhozhong raised his eyebrows, what kind of treasure? I'll take you into Pangu space to have a look, Yan Xiongluo said. Sister, shall we go in now? Ruan Onluo's big eyes, which were exactly the same as those of Ruan Xiongluo, flashed. Go in now, mother will like this baby very much. Yan Xiongluo sat up from the bed, Ji Zhozhong helped her, and as soon as she got out of bed, she brought the 4 of them into Pangu space, and I didn't forget to bring Ji Zimo inside, who was standing at the door of the palace. Gizmo was stunned for a moment when he saw the changing scene in front of him, and then smiled. This girl is very careful. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 749. Before they had time to think about it, several people were stunned by the huge white crystal ball in Pangu space. Let alone seeing it before, I never dared to imagine that there would be such a big crystal ball in the world, and it is the rarest white crystal ball. There is no impurity at all. It can be seen that even if it is Xianxia, there will not be a second one. Long Moran was the first to come to his senses. No wonder his daughter said she would like it. She couldn't even imagine owning such a big crystal ball. That heavenly master doesn't want to own a crystal ball that is unique in the world. She also has one, but it is a fist-sized purple crystal ball that her husband got for her. It is considered the best in Tianqian continent. Comparing it with this one, there is a huge difference. Luo, it's useless even if mother likes it. My soul controlling power can't control such a big crystal ball. After Long Moran got excited, he suddenly realized the most important thing. She was not strong enough to use such a big crystal ball. Crystal ball. Yan Xiangluo said indifferently, I can't use it, but I'm happy to see it. Long Moran was speechless. What his daughter said made sense, and he couldn't help but be happy just by looking at it. Ji Zhong took Yan Xiangluo's hand and asked, what happened? Ji Zhong knew without asking what the strength of a person with such a big crystal ball was. She wanted to know what happened more than him. After all, he saw it with his own eyes. She fell into a coma when she returned to the palace. It was obvious that the other party had a strong power to extract the soul. Although there was a reason why she did not resist, she could not ignore the strength of the other party's celestial master. Yan Xiangluo told the four people what the man in white robe said. Of course, she ignored the topic where the man said she didn't choose him in her previous life. I think that is the 9 heavens, especially the Prophet's Hall he mentioned. I have a very familiar feeling, but I just can't remember it. It should be the memory of the previous life. As soon as Yan Xiangluo mentioned the Prophet's Hall, a dark light flashed across Ji Zhong's eyes. Although he had not recovered all his past life memories, he still had an impression of the Prophet's Hall, and things were somewhat correct. How is that man doing now? Ji Zhong asked. Since she has brought back all the magic weapons, the other party must not be in a bad situation, otherwise this girl wouldn't be so excited. It's not good. I didn't expect that in such a sacred place and such a sacred profession, a person who looks at the immortal Wind Dao bone is actually an evil cultivator. And he practices ancient evil skills. Fortunately, I went there with a divine soul body. Otherwise, we really can't fight him. But his condition is not very good now. We use the power of soul control and the power of the heavenly master to fight, and he is seriously injured. Although Yan Xiangluo didn't see how badly the man was injured in the end, she knew that the other man's injuries must be serious after comparing her own soul-controlling strength with that of the man. She is not as good as him in terms of cultivation, but in terms of her ability as a heavenly master and soul control, she really doesn't believe in anyone now. She practices ancient soul control techniques. Is there anyone else? Ji Zhong asked again. Yes, but they didn't come to the crystal ball. They were arranged by that man in the Prophet's Hall. When I took the crystal ball away, there was too much noise. Those people came, but they didn't see me or the crystal. How they disappeared, I only saw them at the moment when the soul disappeared, and then the soul returned to the body. Yu Xiangluo explained. Wan Enluo touched the white crystal ball curiously. Under the white crystal ball, he looked even smaller to the child. Yu Chenjai and his wife looked at each other. The opponents their children will face have all been upgraded to the strongest men in the 9 heavens. Their parents are too weak. Although they have tried their best to practice and improve their cultivation and strength, they still cannot keep up with the rapid changes of their opponents. Thinking about the opponents his daughter will face in the future, Xianxia deeply feels that he can work harder on his cultivation path. Gizmo, who had been silent for a long time, spoke up, "This space of Luo Yetu is extraordinary." Several people looked at him. The space that Yanxiang Luo was in was Pangu space. It was like an independent small world. It was naturally unusual. Needless to say, it was different. But they also knew that Gizmo probably didn't mean what they thought. Gizmo looked at them and said, "When I was a teenager, I went to the first training place in the mainland, which is the training place where Zhekong is about to go. There, I encountered an adventure. I went to a library in another time and space. The amazing thing was that I couldn't even look through the books inside, but there was one painting that I just glanced at and felt like I had entered a world in the painting. There was an independent world inside. It has powerful power and can contain all the magic weapons in the world that are beyond the power of monks. Although I didn't know where I went, I had an idea after entering. This kind of world is not an ordinary small world, but after Pangu opened the sky, the space left in the world. In that space, I only stayed for a moment and was sent out, and then I left that time and space. I didn't care about it at the time, I just thought it was a scene of time and space intersecting. But when I saw it, after leaving Yetu's space, I had a feeling that I was entering the Pangu space, but there was no owner of the Pangu space at that time." Yanxiang Luo was stunned. It was more than 30,000 years ago that Gizmo entered the first training place in the mainland. At that time, it was still the 9 Yuan dynasty ruled by the Ji family. Entering the continent's #1 training place should be a right only for their royal family, unlike now where they need to be #1 in the continental competition to qualify. Therefore, it is not surprising that he went in. His strength was also a genius in the Ji family dynasty at that time. Otherwise, he would not have been selected by the emperor of the people at that time to protect the Ji family's residence and clan territory. But he has entered the Pangu space, so this matter needs to be considered. If Pangu space was in the first training place in the 9 Yuan continent, how could it be obtained by my father in the lower continent? "Dad, how did you get Pangu flower?" Yanxiang Luo asked. "The Pangu space is attached to the Pangu flower. When she awakened her spiritual roots, she only activated the Pangu Kung Fu on the Pangu flower and was able to practice the Pangu Kung Fu. She did not identify the owner of the Pangu flower with her blood, nor did she activate the Pangu space. All of this happened after she passed the first level of Pangu Kung Fu, the Pangu flower was infected by her blood and a contract was formed, and then the Pangu space was opened. Therefore, it was not easy for her to obtain Pangu space. Pangu flower was in her father's hands for many years and then in her hands for many years. It was not until she was 13 that she successfully opened Pangu space. The fragrance falls ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 750. It can be seen that Pangu space is not that easy to open. You need to practice Pangu Kung Fu and pass the first level before you have the opportunity to open Pangu space. Yuan Xianxia said, "I got the Pangu flower when I was practicing in a secret realm. Now that I think about it, the scene when I got the Pangu flower was similar to what Ancestor Zemo said. At that time, I was also in a trance, as if I had entered another space. There was nothing inside, only this Pangu flower. When I picked up the Pangu flower, I returned to the secret realm. If I had not had this Pangu flower in my hand at that time, I would have suspected that it was an illusion at that moment. After I got the Pangu flower, I studied it carefully, but there was no movement. I tried all kinds of tricks and techniques and couldn't open it. Later, a voice rang in my consciousness, telling me that this was Pangu flower. Those who are destined to learn the skills can learn them. There are 3 levels in the Pangu skills. Either you can fly to the sky after passing the 3 levels, or you will die in the 3 levels. I thought that since I couldn't open it, I had no chance to learn the Pangu skills, so I kept it away. After Luoluo awakened her spiritual roots, she couldn't find a suitable technique that matched her talent, so I thought of Panguhua again. But when I thought about the 3 levels of Pangu Kung Fu, I hesitated. In the end, it was Luoluo's decision to make it herself. When she arrived at Pangu Flower, she started Pangu Kung Fu. At that time, we both thought it was her chance and did not stop her from learning Pangu Kung Fu. Xianxia told the story of how he got Panguhua and his daughter to learn Pangu Kung Fu. Although it sounds easy and simple, how can their worries as parents during this period be explained clearly in a few words? What's more, my daughter still has one last hurdle to pass. I've been thinking about this forever. Gizmo said, it seems that Pangu Flower has been looking for its true owner. Your and my experiences also show that Pangu Flower can travel through the experience spaces of various continents at will, and will not be restricted by high and low continents. I think, the existence of this Pangu space is not just for Luoyetu to use as a portable space, it must also have a mission. Gizmo's words silenced several people, especially Yan Xiangluo and Ji Zhong. Gizmo's words reminded them of their previous life experiences, especially Yan Xiangluo thought of his master and the people who had paid the price of eternal life for them. What the senior brothers wanted to do but failed to do. Does Pangu Space choose her to be its master in this life? Does that have something to do with it? Yan Xiangluo suddenly thought that she still had a habit after getting Pangu Space. She still habitually put her things in the storage ring. She would only put some large things that could not be placed in the storage ring. Choose to place it in Pangu Space. This may be her instinct as a heavenly master, and she instinctively feels that Pangu Space will not belong to her forever. Ruan Xiangluo didn't say this thought out loud, not wanting them to worry about what would happen. She had to wait until she completely recovered her memory. If the existence of this Pangu Space was really for the sake of righteousness, she would not selfishly keep it to herself in the past 3 years. Pangu Space saved her many times and helped her countless times. It was already her destiny. After thinking about it, she felt much relieved. Don't think too much, just adapt to circumstances, Yan Xiangluo said with a smile. If Pangu Space really has a big effect, he can also understand his good luck. Genius places like Lingquan Space, Stone Milk, and Crystal Ball, etc. will come to her. That is the underworld. Destined. Since it cannot be changed, the only option is to accept it calmly. Gizmo added, but there is another problem now, that is, Luoyetu's space may be exposed. Everyone looked at Gizmo, who pointed at the huge white crystal ball. This magic weapon is unique even in Zhongtian. Its power is definitely beyond the scope of any holding ring, and it was taken away by Mo. The girl with the crystal ball is still a soul, so the other party must know that she has a personal dimension, and it is a very powerful dimension, in order to take away the white crystal ball. Everyone knew that what Gizmo said was true, and Yan Xiangluo naturally understood it too. Just expose me. If I don't, they won't let me go. If I have to choose between taking away the white crystal ball or keeping the secret space, I will choose to take away the white crystal ball. This is a decision that can be made without hesitation. Such a big white crystal ball is the most suitable magic weapon for her after practicing the ancient soul control technique. With the powerful soul control power and the powerful white crystal ball, she should have no opponent among the heavenly masters. After all, the white-robed man who can use the white crystal ball should be the leader among the heavenly masters in the 9 heavens. His own heavenly master power and soul-controlling power are both superior to him. There is no doubt about this. Ji Zhong said, Luoluo is right, just expose it if you expose it. The first thing now is to let Luoluo pass the 3rd level of Pangu flower blooming. Only after passing the 3rd level can her cultivation soar to the sky. With her strong cultivation and powerful soul control ability, it will not be easy for those who want to bully Luoluo. Chenjai looked at Jijukong and said, now that Luoluo has reached the holy level, he has officially entered the third level of the Pangu flower blooming test. What was the method you mentioned earlier? After hearing this, Ruan'anluo stopped touching the white crystal ball. She ran back and looked up at Jijuzhong. If he could help his sister pass the third level of Pangu flower blooming, he would really recognize him as his brother-in-law in the future. The only one brother-in-law. I made 2 preparations. First, without Luoluo being exposed, when Luoluo reaches the breakthrough conditions, I prepared enough spiritual objects for her to advance. There is also a spiritual treasure land in the Ji family that can also assist Luoluo to break through. Jijuzhong's tone was neither urgent nor slow, but everyone could hear the determination in his tone. They also know that this will not work now. After all, cultivation is slow to advance, and those people will not wait for Yanxiangluo to grow up, but will only kill her before she grows up. So everyone is looking forward to what he says. The second step is to take her to the secret space to find opportunities and directly break through to the level. I want to take Luoluo into the first secret space to experience, Jijuzhong said firmly. Yanxiangluo's eyes widened, and she instantly understood what Jijuzhong's purpose was in signing up for the continental competition without telling her. In fact, it was mainly for himself. You entered the competition just to bring me in, Yanxiangluo thought of herself, but still separated from him because he hid her secret. Now it seems that she feels a little ungrateful. It's just a precaution. I checked and found that only the first experience secret realm has more and stronger opportunities, Jijuzhong said matter-of-factly. To be honest, when he was participating in the competition, he was not sure whether Yanxiangluo could reach the holy level before he entered.